Hey traders, welcome to Master the Market, where we help you become a market master. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about key levels on our charts, how to identify and draw these levels of support and resistance, how to use them for high probability trades, and also how to use these key levels to properly manage our risk for any trade that we're in. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it and start checking out this chart here. Before I draw anything on this chart, I want to mention that when I refer to a key level, it really should be thought of more as a key area. Nothing in the stock market is going to be to the penny or to an exact price level. Everything needs a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of room to work in your favor. So instead of using a horizontal line like most people would do when they're drawing a key level, I'm actually going to use the rectangle tool here in Thinkorswim. So that way, when we draw our key levels, we can kind of draw them more as areas rather than a specific price level itself. When you start to think of these as price areas rather than levels, it kind of opens up the technical analysis a little bit, and you start to realize that you need to give them a little bit more room, and that allows you a little bit more freedom with your trading. So very first and foremost, when it comes to identifying these key levels, if you are trading a stock like Zena, which was a big mover today in pre-market, these stocks that are gapping up from that previous day's closing price and have all of this volatility and all of this volume coming in during the pre-market session, most of the time a key level right off the bat is going to be the pre-market highs. So with Zena here, we can see it hit a pre-market high at 8:30 this morning, hitting a high of $5.42. So naturally, because that is the pre-market high, that is going to be a bit of a key level or a key area going into the market open. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to draw this key area up into those highs, and I'm going to drag it all the way across the market hours here. I then want to zoom in and take a look at the 1 minute time frame. And what you'll notice here is that these pre-market highs, once the market opened, actually turned into a little bit of temporary support for the stock Zena. Once it started to break above that opening range price and started to push above those pre-market highs, there's a few times where it pulls back into those pre-market highs, now acting as a level of support. So obviously, anytime we have a stock that's breaking out and turning past resistance into newfound support, that is a bullish sign for the stock. So that would have been a buy opportunity here in this area to get in for this next leg up, all the way up to about 650. Now, if we zoom back out a bit and focus here going into the open, we can see that there's also a little bit of support that starts to form here during the pre-market session. We have some support forming right around $4 per share. We also have some support here in this area from about, let's say, 430 to 450. And once the market opens, that 430 to 450 area does hold on this support. Once it starts to test it, it immediately gets bought back up, and it starts to curl from there, breaking again above that opening range and then picking up some momentum to the upside. So all of this to say that paying attention to the pre-market highs, the pre-market lows, and any significant level of support or resistance that formed during pre-market is a great way to find potential entries once the market does open for a continuation to the upside. Now I want to take another look at an example here, MODV. This has been a multi-day runner. We take a look here at the past week or so. We can see that this has gone from under $1 per share all the way up to a high today of $4.43. So obviously the momentum is to the upside here. Buyers are in control, and this is a stock that you would probably be looking for a long opportunity to capitalize on that momentum. Now, what we're going to see here is that pretty much the exact same thing happens that we just talked about with the stock Zena, turning a past high into a newfound level of support. So if we take a look at yesterday, the highs up here are right around 285 to 290. So if we were to draw this area and then drag it all the way through to today's price action, we can see once the market opens today, it pushes right through that past high, right through that past resistance, and it starts to turn that area into a little bit of support. So again, you could look to buy into that newfound support to capitalize on then the next move that happens to the upside. This same process happens over and over and over in the stock market when a stock has clear upside momentum, breaking above a past high and turning it into support, that is going to be your key level for the trade, of course. And that is a really great way to use these key levels in order to find these momentum breakout types of trades. So right off the bat, the easiest way to identify some recent key levels, again, pre-market highs, pre-market lows, and if it is a multi-day runner or it had a spike the previous day, you would simply be looking at those highs and those lows as well as your key levels going into that following day. Now, to take things a step further, I always recommend that you kind of zoom out and look at the longer term time frame. You can only really see the past couple of days pretty well if you're looking at the 5-minute or even the 15-minute time frame. So in order to identify other past key levels on your chart, you simply have to zoom out and look at something like the daily chart. And if we look at SLRX down here, this is a really great example of how these daily chart key levels can come into play, especially when you're dealing with a stock that has a big gap up and is spiking to the upside from that gap up once the market opens. With SLRX, we can see that there are a lot of long upper wicks on this daily chart, meaning that most of the time when this stock has a big spike to the upside, it tends to fade lower by the end of the day. You can use that information a few ways. One, simply just being more cautious with any buy setups that you get into, or two, using that knowledge to look for an opportunity to short sell because you know that statistically the stock is likely to end the day lower than it is after a big spike up. So if we kind of take out the recent price action here and we focus on this daily chart, I'm going to just draw some boxes around the key areas here. Of course, we have the highs from this day where there was a massive spike. We then have the long upper wicks that were forming here for a couple of days. And we can see some long upper wicks forming down here as well. All of these are going to be key areas going forward because these long upper wicks represent a reversal point and represent where there is clearly a lot of supply in the stock. So if we kind of go forward from here, we can see that, of course, these highs act as resistance on this other gap up day. So you could look to short sell into that high, into that resistance area, into that key level, whatever you want to refer to it as. And that, of course, would have been a very profitable trade. We then see that it actually ends the day right into that other key level, which is something that very commonly happens. Again, support turning into resistance and resistance turning into support. These are very common things in the stock market. And then if we fast forward a bit as well, once the stock begins pulling back down here, we can actually see that this other key level, this other key area where these highs were formed, starts to temporarily act as some support in here, offering a few opportunities to get these quick bounces to the upside. So that's just another thing to keep in mind when you're looking for these key levels. They're not always going to be right there on the 5-minute time frame. Zoom out, look at past history as well, because the daily chart can offer some really great key levels and key areas to pay attention to as well. And very quickly, one thing that I want to mention, if we go back to the Xena example that we talked about here at the beginning of the video, these key levels often can be used for risk management as well. So if you think about them as areas of support and resistance, you know that most likely you want to place your stop loss for risk management underneath that support level because that's going to give you the best chances of a profitable trade. And you also know that if it does start to break down underneath that support, you probably want to be out of the trade anyway. So again, if you think about them as key areas rather than key levels, you're going to be less likely to get stopped out at the bottom of a move because, for example, if you were to place a stop loss 1 penny below where you thought there was a key level, since again, nothing is going to be exact to the penny in the stock market, there's a good chance that there's going to be a quick dip down underneath that key level. It will stop you out and then the stock will bounce back up. If that's something that happens to you time and time again, you need to give your stop losses a little bit more wiggle room to the downside underneath a level of support because again, they are support areas, they are key areas, not key levels. And if that is something that worries you because you might be taking a larger loss, then simply scale down, trade smaller position sizes, and use slightly wider stop losses. All of this same information can be applied to any stock or any ETF. So if you're someone that trades SPY or you trade higher price stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, even if you trade Forex or even if you trade futures, all of these same concepts regarding technical analysis and finding these key levels on your charts can be applied to any type of trading. So it's really important to understand them and to, of course, keep them in mind while you are trading. So anyway, I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you want to hear about the stocks that I'm trading in real time, get access to our group chat, our day trade and swing trade alerts, our detailed trade plans, and so on and so forth. All of that can be found in the Market Master group. There's going to be a link down below in the description for you to get signed up. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.